Okay.
So here I am with Ruben Ugarte. It is September 17th, 2020, and we're discussing a multi-unit building in Sarnia, Ontario, that where it could be possible that Ruben and Mary Lou will be able to buy it. It's 950 Eastlawn Gardens in Eastlawn, 950 Eastlawn Avenue, Sarnia, Ontario. It's only minutes to the U.S. border, right?
Yeah, oh, that's 2 minutes from the U.S. border.
Two minutes from the U.S. border. And Ruben was just telling me the story, and I was finding it so interesting, I decided to record it, so we're recording now. And the thing that was really interesting to me at this point was that there's a story behind this little triangle. If you don't mind, show the triangle for the record.
Yeah.
So when I looked at that, the first time that Ruben showed that to me a few minutes ago before we started recording, I assumed that that belonged to the Ministry of Transportation for Ontario, but Ruben tells me it does not. It belongs to one of these parties, correct?
Correct, but this is where, yeah, the story is 1973. They bought this building,
right?
And together, and according to the person in Michigan, he actually lent the money to the person in Sarnia to buy this building together.
Wow.
But the guy that sold the building didn't tell them that this will cut through the parking lot. So they were required to buy this plot of land. But in 1973, actually, the highway did not exist, this part.
Right.
And I'm going to show you a survey, another drawing. But now the highway, the entrance to the highway is actually cutting through this plot of land. This plot of land is actually bigger than this, right? So legally, what they did is, according to them, is that they put this plot of land in the name of the mom of the guy in Sarnia. But in reality, when I pulled the title, this is where the story is interesting. I pulled the title of both of this plot of land, and let me show you that. Let me share the screen with you. I'm gonna stop the share. And this is what the thing might work in our favor, but I'm not totally sure. But let me show you they send me a survey. Okay, and this is where is kind of interesting, because the survey, look at the survey. The survey is saying that lot 26, 25, 23, and 24, 23 here is the plot of land that is in the name of the mom. And this is the highway fence here. So this portion here doesn't exist anymore, is the highway, right? So I don't know what the story is in the terms of putting the highway. So the only thing that exists is this plot, this corner here, this thing here. And what they say they own is lot 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Now look at 21. 21 is on the highway. So the building is sitting in this plot of land, and the other plot of land is this corner where part of the parking lot is on that side. So, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So if you buy this, can you buy both of these? Can you buy the place where the apartment building is and this piece of land that's next to the highway?
I think they are willing to sell the two of them. But what happened is when they got when they got into the relationship problem is because the person in Michigan thinks that this plot of land is in the name of the nephew, and that the nephew is taking advantage of him, and they think that this plot of land, the building, is in the name of their company. They have a company together. They have a corporation. This is the interesting thing.
Okay, hang on a second. Just go back to that drawing. So if you and Mary Lou do buy this, if you do, and you get these two pieces of property, if you get both of them, which I think is really important, you want to make sure that you take these two pieces of land into your name, but in two slightly different names. For example, one of them might be in your name and Mary Lou's, and the other one might just be in your name alone, or your name or Mary Lou's name alone, so that there's slightly different names on title. You with me on that?
Yeah.
And the reason you do that, or it could be a company, it could be company one and company two. The reason you do that is that you have to be careful, even though lots that are created and are registered in land titles, even if they are, you have to be careful if they're in the identical names, they can merge. And having two different titles is, I think, an advantage to you. And I'll tell you why later.
Okay, so now, see, this is where I think I don't know if there's a confusion or not between them, but the register title, it shows that the building, see, lot 18, 20,
Yep.
17, and 21,
Yep.
is in the name, look at this, is in the name of both names. Walter Bucky, the guy in Sarnia.
Are these the parcels that are next to the highway, or is this where the apartment building is?
This is where the apartment building is.
Right. So that's expected, right?
Well, I think they think this opposite, because they think that the building is in the name of the company and the plot of land is in the name of the mom.
Well, show me the other parcel now.
So the other parcel, see the other parcel, 23,
Yeah,
26?
they're confused.
It's in the name of the company.
And who controls that company?
They are 50-50, and there is an accountant in Sarnia that deals with all of the numbers with this company. But this building is being handled. So this is the part of the story, right, where they think that the mom or the sister or the guy in Sarnia, owns this plot of land, which is not true.
So hang on a second. So if I understand it, go back to the other parcel registered, okay? If I understand the story correctly, Mario and Walter, are they brothers?
No, they are nephew. Walter is the nephew, and Mario is the brother of the mom.
Okay, so Mario's nephew, Walter and Mario, the two of them own the apartment building together.
Yes.
And the two of them control this company together.
Correct.
So if I understand it, then there really are only two people that you need to convince if they're going to sell it, and that's Walter and Mario. Right.
And I already spoke on the phone with both of them. I met Walter in person in Sarnia, and we got a little bit of rapport, right, with both of them. But they don't talk to each other. They are
okay. But Ruben, this for you and Mary Lou, this is a good news story, because if Walter isn't talking to Mario, Mario isn't talking to Walter, but you are talking to both of them, then you have an opportunity to be the peacemaker and also the solution to what has become a long-term problem. So your situation right now is to keep good relations, as you normally would anyway, with Walter and Mario, and you are the solution to their problem.
I think so. Yeah. So talking to the accountant, because actually the accountant, he was very open with me about this. Right now, she was not aware, because she sent me the tax certificates, and because she's aware that these things are in the name of the company and the name of both of them. But she was not aware that I don't know, for whatever reason, that the building is in the name of both, and that plot of land is in the name of a company, right? So that's where I can, like you say, I can come in like a peacemaker and come up with a good solution for them. But now this is where the thing can get, let me show you quickly here. I'm going to open, so that way this is where I want your input, but let me show you the building. Oh, where are you here? Eastman, rent roll, no. Income details, no. Income, here. Are you able to see the Excel?
No, right now I see a blank screen.
Okay, I'm gonna stop share. I'm gonna open again. Where are you? Here. Okay. This building is crazy. It's crazy the way it's working. So what happened is they hire a property manager.
Make the spreadsheet a little bigger.
Made the spreadsheet a little bit bigger.
You just hit Control plus. Okay, and see if you can make it full screen.
Full screen.
Yeah, up the top there, you know, where you got the little minimize, maximize square. Whoa, no, I can't see anything.
Oh, I went the wrong way.
I don't know. Maybe go back to where you were. All right, I can see that. All right,
okay.
Go.
All right, so look at this building. They are operating without a mortgage. But it's crazy. The property manager that they have, she's living in the building in Unit 1. She doesn't pay rent. But they collect, according to the accountant, they collected, look at this one, in 2020, they collected $220,000 plus laundry, 224. Just look at the numbers.
Yeah.
224,000. We collect more in the 22 units that we have down the road. But okay. So then they go down and look at the crazy numbers. Insurance, 20,000. Property taxes, 41,000. Maintenance, 50,000.
Oh my God.
Look at the utilities, 64,000. And then they come down to the end, but this is the interesting part. The end, this building is showing 17,000 income without a mortgage. And I was telling the accountant, look, if they would have a mortgage in this building, they would be putting money every month, right? So now imagine these guys, if they go 50-50 split on this, they're gonna receive $8,000, $9,000 a year, and the year previous is about the same. See, 19,000.
So Ruben, just for the hell of it, okay? On that spreadsheet, divide $17,867.28 by the minimum target cap rate of 6%. What do you get?
Oh, about 800,000, I think.
No, you wouldn't get that much. Divide $17,867.28 by the target cap rate of 0.06.
300,000. 300,000.
Yeah. So what we're saying is the fair market value of this building right now is virtually zero.
So see, this is what it is. So I run these numbers to RBC, my guy in RBC, right?
Yep.
And he came back and I said, okay, Greg, we discussed the building. I said, Greg, tell me what is the value of this building? And with these numbers and the numbers that they use, they say this building is no more than 1 million. Okay? 1 million, right?
Yeah. But
so
hang on a second. You and I know that for an investor like yourself and Mary Lou, that your minimum target going in is 6%. That tells us that this building, in its current condition, with the current rent structure, is worth 300,000. It's not worth $1 million.
Yeah.
Because at $1 million, hang on a second, at $1 million, your cap rate with only $18,000 a year in income, a net operating income, your cap rate on $1 million is 1.7%. You can get that in your bank.
Well, the thing is, yeah, I see your point. The thing is that there are several problems in here that, you know, we don't know exactly where they are, right? But like we cannot change property taxes. There is something wrong with the insurance. I don't know why they charge that.
Oh, for sure.
Right? So we cannot change the utilities, at least for now, because this might be true, right?
Yep.
The only thing that is not true or something fishy is the maintenance, right? All of these things. And this thing of the gardening, the painting, and all of that. So they're about, I would say, maybe more than $30,000 that are fishy, I call it fishy. And then there's this management fee here. right?
Yeah.
So even the accountant was telling me, the accountant on the phone was saying, hey, you know, there's something weird in this building. You know, the way this property manager is charging all of these charges, right? So what happened is the bank, actually, they don't use these numbers on maintenance and all of that. They use percentages, right?
I understand.
So that's how they came out with the 1 million
Yeah,
value.
I understand. But you and I know that I'm a spreadsheet expert. I am. And I can make a spreadsheet lie. It's like statistics. You can make statistics say anything you want. So based on their numbers, not your numbers, not my numbers, not the Royal Bank's numbers, based on their number, their building is practically worthless. Just taking their numbers at face value. And one of the things, Ruben, you have to be very careful about is when you buy property. Listen, I do a lot of coaching now, all over Canada and the States, right? A lot. And so I see this over and over and over again. You've got two people who are fighting. Now, here's what happens, okay? Ruben and Bruce become partners. Ruben and Bruce become partners, and Ruben is the chief executive officer, and I'm the chief operating officer. We're 50-50 partners. But you're the chief executive officer. We're doing a project together. And what happens is, over the next year or two, you know, I say, well, Ruben is the boss here. I'm just going to leave most of the stuff for Ruben to do because he is really the boss. He's the chief executive officer. He's the president of this company or whatever. Within the next 2 years, you're saying to yourself, and Mary Lou probably would be nagging at you too, saying, well, you know, Bruce really isn't doing anything. You know, he owns 50% of this property and he's not really doing anything. So you would get mad at me and I would say, well, what the heck? You're the president. You should take responsibility. So projects like this, where you have two partners that are arguing, they become orphans. This project, yeah, I think, is an orphan. It is. Yeah. And for these two men, they should exit as soon as possible, and you are the hero. How many units is this building?
Okay, and this is where we have to be careful. It's 29. Okay, so there are two situations that are not easy to, I mean, they are not easy to fix. It's a challenge, but it's fixable. It's the rent roll. See, the rent roll, for whatever reason, they've been keeping for many years. Like you say, it's orphan. It's been orphaned for many years. They've been keeping the rent roll too low, excessively too low. They are paying $500 and $600 for a 2-bedroom apartment.
Right. So can I just interrupt one more time, just because this is a two-way conversation. There are a whole lot of ways for a property manager who's fishy to rip them off. She's not only ripping them off, in my opinion, in all likelihood, on the cost side. Here's what happens with a property manager. If you have a bad property manager, and you and I have talked about this before, he can say, or she can say in this case, she can say, look, Ruben, or in this case, Walter, Mario, the plumbing isn't working on apartments, you know, A, B, and C. We have to completely redo, you know, the plumbing because it's failing, and that's $5,000 a unit. So she spends $15,000 on plumbing. But in actual fact, she gets one of her friends to send them an invoice for $15,000 saying we fixed the plumbing, but the actual fixes were maybe $500. And then she splits the difference. So that's on the cost side. On the revenue side, we've talked about this as well. On the revenue side, what she can do is she can say to somebody, listen, Bill, I'll rent you this apartment for, you know, $700. It really should be $1,000, but she'll say, you've got to pay it to me at $700. The lease that actually goes to Walter and Mario says $500. She is probably pocketing some of those rents. So those rents, if you buy this building, you have to get the tenant confirmations of rent paid. You understand?
Oh yeah, yes.
Because I suspect you'll find that there's been fraud here. I don't know that. Maybe she just. But you know, even if the tenant says yes, I'm paying $500, and I swear, you know, here's my form, I signed it. But in actual fact, they might their lease they might be paying $200 a month in cash to the property manager. So she could be easily pocketing $5,000 or $6,000 a month on the revenue side, and she could be pocketing, you know, $20,000, $30,000 on the cost side. So obviously, one of the things you would have to do is you got to get her out of the building. You have to get, if you buy this building, you have to have vacant possession of her unit. She has to be out of the building, and there can't be any contracts with this woman as a property manager. Even if she's totally honest, it's a complete catastrophe. You're going to fire her, but I wouldn't want you to buy it and then try and get rid of her.
Yeah. So okay, so this is where we stand. I see all of that, but what is happening now is, and this is where the question comes in, right? I told them that we want to buy the building, but we will do the analysis, right? And then we will come with a I call it a fair offer, right? For the building, right? Obviously, the building in the market where it is right now is not $300,000, but at the same time is not $2 million either, right? Because what happened, these buildings, I can tell you now, I just had another person that bought a building in Sarnia, and these units, this type of units in an apartment unit, they're going between 80 and 90,000 a unit without looking at any income, right? Just per unit. So let's say they go 80,000 per unit. We're talking about 2.3 million. And if this building goes to the open market, and in MLS, that's another thing. They don't want to list it with a realtor. They want to deal directly, which is okay. But I can tell you, the reality is that if this building goes to the market, there will be people jumping into this building for $2 million.
I agree.
Right. So now, I don't want to go. I'm building this rapport with them, right? I don't want to send a letter of intent for, like, okay, the bank said, well, you know, 1 million, and we can get you. He was telling me we can get you 800,000 with CMHC, but he said that's the maximum that we can get you, 800,000 as a mortgage. If you buy it, whatever price you buy it, they don't care about the price. They said whatever price you buy it, you will have to put the difference, right? But then he said, but in 2 or 3 years, you come back to us and you show that you have improved the rents and obviously the expenses, but mainly the rents. Then we can give you a second mortgage without breaking the CMHC, which I didn't know. I like that idea, to either take equity out or to do something else, right? So the thing is, this is the question. I know for a fact, because we are in that market, that this building is around the 2 million mark, right?
Yep.
And in fact, it was weird because when this guy gave me the referral and gave me the address, I cannot remember the address, and I went back to my emails, and there was this girl from Colliers. They go around asking people if they want to sell, and I had emails from her that said, hey, I have this building in Sarnia, and it's 950 Eastlawn. That was about a year and a half ago. And he says, but the owners are in a very legal fight, but they want 2 million. That's what I have from her, right?
So what are you thinking in terms of an offer?
I was thinking in my numbers, like you say, getting rid of the property manager and to the same structure that we have on the other buildings. My numbers, this building will work about 1.3 million. It will work very tight because we're gonna have to fix that issue of the rents. But then that's where it comes with finding investors that they want to put.
So here, just in simple terms, Ruben, okay? You can stop sharing the screen now so I can just see you a little bit easier for me, a little bit easier on my eyes.
Okay.
So you could pay, I'm not saying you should, you could pay $2 million for this building if it was $1 a year for 2 million years.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the, you know, everybody laughs when you talk that way. But there are probably things that you could do to kind of, you know, give them some incentive to sell to you and Mary Lou. So, you know, you could offer them, you know, say 1.2 million, and you could offer them each of them a consulting contract for the next 5 years. Do you understand? You know, just to give you advice on the building. If you need some advice, you know, if there's some question you have on the heating system or whatever. So what I have often done, you know, to really, you know, get these guys, you know, on board is you might say, look, I'll pay you 1.2 million, and I'll give you each $1,500 a month for the next 5 years, just on standby as consultants to, you know, your company. And so they get, you know, an extra $18,000 a year for the next 5 years. That's quite a bit of money for them, especially for the old dude, but maybe for the nephew as well. So you might be a little bit more creative than just the ordinary run-of-the-mill offer. So a couple of things that I would suggest you consider. You know, you might even, I'm not saying you should, you might even go above 1.3 million, because I agree with you. I suspect that once you have, if you and Mary Lou got a hold of this building 5 years from now, because you and I are going to talk a lot about how to animate this building. There's lots of stuff you can do with this building. So if I suspect that within 5 years, this building, if you and Mary Lou owned it, would be worth 2.5 million, maybe even a little bit more. It possibly as high as 3 million. It is possible. And I suspect you could do that. So you might even offer them, say, $1.5 million plus the this consulting thing that I talked about. But the thing that would really help you is a seller take back mortgage from them. Because if you have an $800,000 first mortgage from CMHC, okay? Bear with me. So let's say we had $800,000 from CMHC, and that's your first, and they gave you, say, a $500,000 second mortgage. You with me on that?
Who will give 500?
The sellers, the two, Walter and Mario. You know.
Oh, I see.
You know what a seller take back mortgage is, right?
Yes.
Okay, so just bear with me, just hear me out. So you would offer them actually $1.5 million, but broken down this way: $800,000 from CMHC, $500,000 seller take back mortgage from them, and a 5-year consulting contract for each of them for $1,500 a month times 2. That means, I mean, if you look at it, you know, just bear with me, 18 times 5 times 2, yeah, it means you're giving them just under 1.5 million over the next 5 years. The seller take back mortgage, in my opinion, should be 5 years. And it should be at maybe 3%.
I got a little bit behind on here. If we get the 800 from them, then we put 200,000.
800,000 from CMHC.
Okay, 500 from them.
And you offer them in your letter of intent a consulting contract, stand by if I need any help from you in the next 5 years, $1,500 a month, each of them. That's a total of just under $1.5 million. You don't need, other than your closing costs, you don't need any money.
Oh, the 3,000 are included. So where are the 200,000 difference from the price of 1.5?
So 800,000 from Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. Second mortgage is from them for 500,000, and a consulting contract, $1,500 a month for each of them for 5 years, that totals to $180,000 of additional value for the two men. So the actual total that you're giving them over the next 5 years is $1.48 million. So just under $1.5 million. And other than the closing costs, you know, your land transfer tax, you don't need to find a dime.
Wow. Do you think that this is possible that at the age that they are?
Because from their point of view, think about it from their point of view. On the day of closing, that $800,000 from CMHC goes to them.
Yes.
So on the day of closing, Walter and Mario, on the day of closing, they each get a check for $400,000. Then every month they get another check from you and Mary Lou for $1,500 each. And they get 3% on their $500,000. And 5 years from now, they get another $500,000. It's a fantastic, yeah, it's a fantastic deal for them. But it's also a fantastic deal for you because you don't need a damn partner, with all due respect.
I know.
That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Because, you know, I am quite sure, listen, I've gotten to know you and Mary Lou, and I'm a good coach, but I know that I'm working with some really smart people, and there's some things I'd just like to talk for a minute about animation. So just hang on a second. I want to show you, I'm just sharing my screen here. So this is the building here, correct, Armando?
Yes.
And this is the second parcel that you hope to acquire over here, right?
Yes.
So it'd be this parcel here plus this parcel here. This is perfectly set up for you and Mary Lou to add workshops and storage spaces. And in the last 2 weeks, myself and my clients across Canada and the United States, we are inundated by requests for workshops. I keep sending that to you. I mean, you know, I predicted this for about 5 or 6, maybe even 7 years now, and it was growing, but it was doing this, and then COVID hit, and it's doing this. Industrial production is up 20% in Canada and the United States in the last 7 months. It's incredible. So in terms of animations, you've got virtually, and you keep that as a separate lot, you know, and that second lot, in my opinion, you know, and who cares if it's right next to the highway? For a workshop, you don't care.
We just have to change the zoning on that one because that is.
I don't think so. I don't think so. You know, these would be storage buildings, and I think that is a permitted use in the residential zone. In other words,
I will have to check.
Well, you have to check, obviously. I mean, you know, I don't know the zoning bylaws in Sarnia, but you have to be careful what you say. If you call it a workshop, probably you would get that approved. But if you call it storage space, you know, it's heated storage space, trust me on that, people in that building who are living there will have home-based businesses in them. They will.
But we have to then see, I mean, in the letter of intent, because one of the questions that will come from them, it says, what are you going to do with the piece of land that is
you don't tell them that. You say, look, maybe we use it for some extra parking. I don't know.
No. I'm talking about in the purchase.
Yeah, I understand that. You don't have to tell them what you're going to do with it.
No, but we will include in the 1.48 that plot of land.
Oh, absolutely. 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 But I'm telling you, if you built storage spaces there, and some of them would be used as workshops, that would add tremendously to your cap rate. That's number one. Number two, you know, this building, when I look at it, I can't really see too well, but can you see on my screen here, all of these windows here? Yeah. So one of the most fantastic animations that you can add to this building would be to add to when you're ready to do it, to take out these windows and replace them with French doors.
Right, so make a little patio?
Make a little patio, make it a separate entrance. Think about this, when you and Mary Lou were younger, what would you rather do? Would you rather go into a door that you share with, you know, 29 other couples, or have your own little private patio here? Every time we do this animation, the rents that we get, so when this apartment here that I'm showing you on my screen here, becomes vacant. You cut out a door, you put French doors there, and you put a little patio there. If you had a little child, or if you just have some friends over, that adds so much value. We have been increasing rents anywhere from 12 or 15% to 30% every time we do that.
Some guys that I know, what they do is they, well, not the windows, but they add a little patio. They put a little fence, just a little fence in there, and that becomes kind of a little private thing in that apartment. And they charge more for the rent.
Exactly. And one of my clients owns, I think, 72 properties like similar to this. And the most, so I just wrote down before we got on this call the animations that he's been using. Number one, he's been adding tech packages.
Which one?
Tech packages.
Oh, tech packages, yes, okay.
So that's number one. Number two, in terms of profitability, he's been adding storage and workshops. Fantastic results. So tech packages, storage space, and workshops, number two. Number three, he's been doing exactly what you just described, opening up those ground floor units with French doors and their own little private patio with the screen that you just talked about. So the problem is, most of these apartment buildings, even the brand new ones, Ruben, are producing communal spaces where people the whole building can use it. And guess what? When you go there, the only people you will see in those communal spaces are teenagers smoking weed.
Yeah.
That's it. And there'll be garbage and litter there. That it is I can't believe the number of developers who they haven't hired me as their coach. That's the problem. But seriously, it is ridiculous what they're doing. It is beyond stupid, because I know you could go to a building in Chicago, you can go to a building in Sarnia, you can go to a building in Vancouver. If you have a communal space, it becomes an orphan, just like I was saying about this project has already become an orphan, and it's just filled with crap, litter, broken stuff, and teenagers smoking weed and making out. It becomes like a hangout. And you and I, for example, and our wives would never, ever think about going. You provide a private patio, it'll be neat and tidy. You'll have a little barbecue out there. If you have a little kid, the little kid will have his or her toys out there, and your rents will go up. Brian Dagenet has proven this, anywhere from 12% to 30% overnight. So that's fantastic. The next thing that I would want you to do with this property as an animation, and I'm going to go back to this, and you're gonna laugh at this, but I think it'll work. Is you are on a major interchange here, right?
Yeah.
And you could probably walk from here to the United States within not very much time. You know, it's probably 2 or 3 minutes by car, and it's probably 20 or 30 minutes walking distance. So just bear with me, okay? Now this one, I'm going to stop sharing just so you can focus on me for a minute. If you got this building and you have 29 units, some of them, possibly as many as 20% of them, but maybe as few as 10%. So somewhere between 2 or 3 units and 5 or 6 units, you're going to take out of the long-term rental market. And put it in
Airbnb?
No, put it into the medium-term rental market.
So
you might have 1 or 2 of them being Airbnb, but I don't think so. Airbnb can be very disruptive to the tenants who are there. You know, Airbnb is a lot of work for you and Mary Lou. You live in Vancouver, this building's in Sarnia. Last time I checked, that's a few thousand kilometers away. And, you know, Airbnb is a tremendous amount of work. So I would not recommend that. But people who own buildings like this that I coach are taking, as I said, a maximum of 20% and a minimum of 10% of their units and putting them into the medium-term rental market, which is 3 months and 6 months rentals, okay? So it's not 2 or 3 days, it's not overnight, you're not running a hotel, it's 3 months and 6 months minimum, typically 3-month minimum. And they get a 50% margin on a boost in rents that way. So if you were renting one of these apartments normally for $800 or $900, say it was, you know, right now they're renting for $500, which is ridiculous. But so say if they were renting for $800 or $900, and then plus the tech package, And of course, you're going to charge them utilities. I mean, the fact that these guys are paying utilities, that's a killer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when the tenants pay the utilities and they pay for their tech package and they're paying $800, then the other thing that you do is in the medium-term rental market, you furnish them. And what you're going to find is there are truck drivers, there are people, consultants, there are 1,001 different types of uses that, you know, let's say I'm a roofer or I'm a framer and I'm coming to do a job here. Say Ruben and Mary Lou are building another apartment building and they need me on site for 3 months to do some framing work and some roofing and whatever else. I would look around for a 3-month rental. So medium-term rentals are great. You get about a 50% bump up in rents, but you don't have to do the incredible amount of work that you have to do with Airbnb. And it is not disruptive to the, you know, to the other tenants, because these are people who are coming for serious purposes, not just a party.
All right. Okay. Let me, because I didn't want to take too long, but let me just go back to the idea of the letter of intent. Couple of things. I always go with the what if, right? What if they don't want a vendor take back mortgage, right? If they don't want to give that loan of $500,000, right? The option then is bringing investors, right?
Yeah, for sure. For a project like this, you know, investors will definitely. I mean, this is a no-brainer. You know, with the kind of information that you and I have talked about today, you and I would have to do another spreadsheet. But I'll bet you, by the time that you've changed the rent structure to say $800 or $900, are any of them 2-bedroom or are they all 1-bedroom?
They are 16 1-bedrooms and 13 2-bedrooms. It's about half and half.
16 1-bedrooms and 13 2-bedrooms.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about the 2-bedrooms in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. So just hang on. So we're just doing some fooling around numbers. Okay. So write this down. Okay. Let's assume that you get $800 an apartment, just as a number. Okay. So write that down if you don't mind. So 800, and we add a tech package for $115. Okay. So now we're at $915 a month. Okay.
Yeah.
Plus their utilities, but I'm not going to talk about utilities. They're paying it now. It's 5 years from now. They're paying the utilities. So you're getting $915 in your jeans every month from these apartments. And we're going to assume that you've got, out of the 29, you've got 24 of them in the long-term rental market. Okay. Are you with me on this?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna write it down too. So hang on a second. So we've got 24 apartments times 800 base rent plus $115 for the tech package.
$21,960 a month.
How much?
$21,960 a month.
Plus they pay utilities. So how much you get?
$21,960.
$21,960 per month. Okay. And then you have 5 units in the medium-term rental market. That instead of getting $800, you're getting a 50% uptick, so $1,200 plus the tech package. So for the 5 units that are in the medium-term rental market, you're getting $1,315 times 5. How much is that?
$6,575.
All right, now add up 21,960 and 6,575 gives you how much?
28,535.
28,535?
Yeah.
Per month. And now multiply that by 12.
342,420.
Okay, so that's your gross operating income for the year, 342,420 plus the storage spaces and workshops. But we're not going to include that. Just say plus storage and workshops. We're not going to include that now. We're just going to assume that we've got $342,420 of gross operating income. Now, we're going to deduct from that 34% for OPEX, right? Like right now, their operating expenses are crazy. It's like 90%, right? But the normal rate is about 34% for a building of this age. So what is 34% of 342,420?
116,422.
All right, and subtract from that 342,420, that gives you the net operating income.
225,997.
997. Okay, per year. Divide that by 5.5%. The cap rate in Sarnia, by the way, is very similar to Belleville. These, you know, in Vancouver, the cap rates are like 2.5 or 3.5%, but in Belleville, the CBRE says around 5.5%. So 225,997 divided by 5.5%. What do you get?
4.1 million.
So what we're saying is if you do this right. Oh, hi, Mary Lou. How are you?
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
Good. Good. We were talking about you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Good to see you too. We're going to try.
Hopefully, I will meet you in a few days.
Good.
Yeah.
We're going back. We haven't talked about that one, but we're going back to.
We'll go back. We'll see you soon, Mary Lou.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a building that's worth 4.1 million in the next 5 years. So if you could buy it for 1.5, and if you could do it on your own, if you could, that would be fantastic. Because the idea of the seller take-back mortgage was that 5 years from now, once you have this kind of cash flow, you can go to the Royal Bank of Canada, you can take out CMHC, you can take out the second, you could put probably a 70%, 65, 75% loan to value mortgage. At 70%, it'd be close to $3 million. Obviously, you could pay out the first mortgage, you can pay out the second mortgage, and you and Mary Lou can put about $1 million of cash in your pocket. And this is just from the main property. It doesn't include what you could do with that second piece. Right?
Yes.
Which might be worth quite a bit of money if you do it properly. So I think as soon as I heard about this deal, I was excited because I like Sarnia. And the fact that you are 2 minutes from the US border, I think, assuming we can get past this goddamn pandemic, I think that will really help.
Okay, so I guess the next step is, okay, so now what do you suggest on the letter of intent? Because going back to the story, I got clear now what you suggested. So on the story is that they don't talk to each other. So I asked the accountant, it says, okay, can you be the referee in the middle of this thing, right?
Yep.
And I send you the letter of intent to you, say Rosemary is her name, and I say, yeah, sure, I can do that, and then we can share it. But what happened is, I don't want something to be lost in translation.
Exactly. So what I would suggest you do is that you do a Zoom call if possible, or a phone call, but hopefully a Zoom call, because Zoom is a very positive way to present something like this if you can't be there in person, because they can see your face, right? And a phone call is okay, but it's not the same. It's just a voice at the end of a line talking a lot of shit. Whereas, it's much harder, as you know, to hang up the phone on Zoom.
Yeah.
Because, people can see you, you can see them. So, but you couldn't do it together. Normally, if Walter and Mario were actually talking to each other, you could do it that way. So what I would suggest is, I would do a Zoom call with Mario and Rosemary together, and I would not send the letter of intent. I would not. I would write it, and I would say, look, I have some ideas. And so, you could say, look, I just had some ideas. Mary Lou and I've been tossing it around. It's in the ballpark of about $1.5 million for you guys. And that's so that's how I would present it. Like literally, I wouldn't send them anything. I would just say, we're thinking around $1.5 million to, I'd like to make it more, but there's only really $18,000 of income from this property, and I just have to be careful. Mary Lou and we don't want to go broke either. So what I would do is I would get you know, because maybe Walter or maybe Mario, they don't know how to get onto Zoom or whatever. They can go to Rosemary's office as long as they're physically separated, right?
Well, no, the thing is that Mario is in the US, in Michigan.
Well, perfect. So you can get Rosemary and Walter and yourself and Mary Lou too. Mary Lou should be there because, you know, she's a softening and a influence. You know, you're a guy, and guys are a little bit more aggressive. Mary Lou's a little bit nicer. Just that's just the way it is. Oh, she heard me. Oh, shoot. But she is a softening influence. So you and Mary Lou and Walter and Rosemary said, look, we haven't really made up our mind. We're thinking around $1.5 million. I wish it could be more. It probably should be more, but there's just so little income coming out of the building. You know, we're worried about that because we have to, you know, you're lucky, Walter, you don't need a mortgage. We do. And you know, one thing about mortgages is the banks like to get paid. And so we're probably going to lose quite a bit of money. You know, like if we had a mortgage for, I'm just saying $800,000 and it was, you know, 3 or 4%, you know, that's, you know, with principal and interest, maybe another $40,000 or $50,000. So we'll probably be losing money for a while. And so I was thinking about $1.5 million. I wouldn't even get into all the other stuff because if they say, excuse my language, Mary Lou, if you can hear me, if they tell you to fuck off, what's the point of having a letter of intent?
Right.
So
that's what I was thinking, yeah.
So I wouldn't even give it to them. And then they say, well, no, that's probably in the ballpark of what we're thinking. And then maybe, and then I would say, oh, okay, well, that's good. And then you can say, look, I got I did call the Royal Bank of Canada, and they think one way or the other, I would mention CMHC because that's cheap money. I don't want them to know that.
Yeah.
I did talk to the Royal Bank of Canada. You know, I've got some good contacts there, and they thought they could probably help me with a mortgage of around $800,000. So that's quite a big gap, you know. So I thought of a couple of ways to fill in that gap, and they'd say, "Whoa, how's that?" Well, how about if we gave you guys on the day of closing $800,000 in cash, and then paid some of that over the next few years? Would you even consider something like that? So I kind of get them into the swimming pool a little bit at a time. Are you following me?
Right. Yes.
I've done a lot of this. So, because if you send this letter of intent, you should do it. It's good, and I'll read it over once you've done it, but you should do a letter of intent, but don't send it to Rosemary and don't send it. Just say, look, let's have a discussion. If it goes, which one do you have a better relationship, Walter or Mario?
With whom?
Who do you have a better relationship with, Walter or Mario?
I would say that, you know, I met Walter in person, and he was very good with us because he saw both of us.
Yeah.
And on the phone with Mario in Michigan, he was, I mean, we talked about I would say literally about an hour. And then at the end, because he told me the whole story about the mom and the 1973 and all of that.
Yeah.
At the end, he said, you know, Ruben, I think I know you now because you've been listening to me for all this time. I don't know how old it is, but I'm sure he's more than 85, I think.
Yeah. So who would you talk to first?
I will talk to Mario first.
I think so too. That's my guess. So you get Rosemary on Zoom with Mario. Even if Mario doesn't know how to get on Zoom, he'll have somebody in Michigan who can sit there and show him how to get onto Zoom. All right. So you know, like I have bankers tell me, oh, I can't use Zoom, and I said, well, can you use your cell phone? Oh yeah, I know how to use the cell phone. Well, then download the goddamn app to your cell phone, will you? Yeah. I mean, Jesus, you know, I mean, I'm teaching people, you know, who are, you know, make a lot of money working for these banks, and they can't figure out how to get on Zoom. I mean, Jesus. So you know, you can put it on, you know, you put it on your smartphone, and that's fine. I mean, it's free. You can download Zoom for free, and all you have to do then is push on a button. So pretty much everybody can do that. So talk to Mario and say, look, I have this idea. It's about $1.5 million. Like I said, I wish it was more, but with a mortgage, because you know, like I said, you're lucky. You don't need a mortgage, but Mary Lou and I do, and we're probably going to lose money for a while. So we got to be careful. And then you lead them down the path. And if at any point you get pushback, you just stop and say, okay, yeah, I hear you. But you don't get into a, you know, a negotiation, you know, we want this, we want that, you want this. You just sort of take them down the path. And as long as it's going okay, you keep going. But as soon as you get some pushback, you stop and say, well, I guess we have to think about it a little bit more. But you will get about 70% of the way to what you want, maybe even 80% of the way on your first call, and we'll get the rest later, okay?
Okay,
All right.
so, all right, because that's another, just a final comment on this one. When we spoke with Walter in Sarnia, he said, you know, Mario is the one that, you know, has to kind of, you know, accept the price, but, you know, make him a very low offer. Very low offer. And I mean, it was not.
Who said that? Who said that?
The guy in Sarnia. In Mario. Walter, the
Wow.
nephew. The nephew. And on the phone, Mario said, Mario from Michigan, he said, I want this a fair value, but I don't want Walter to get one more penny or one less penny.
I'm telling you, I think if you offer them 1.48 million with the structure, they're going to jump all over it. They're going to get $800,000 in 2 months.
Yeah, and they're not getting anything.
Oh my God, they're getting $9,000 a year.
A year.
And that woman almost certainly is ripping them off. I have to go.
Yes. Thank you very much.
I really enjoyed it. I have the recording. I'll put it on YouTube, and if you need any, other advice on this, it's very exciting.
Okay, very good. And just quickly, we're gonna be in Champlain for 1 week, so we have to kind of arrange.
We're gonna find a way to see each other, okay?
Yeah.
So send me your schedule, all right?
Yes, I will do that. Okay.
And draft up a letter of intent, but don't give it to anybody but me.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.